All right, guys, buckle up because this one is wild. I'm talking about the kind of story that hits you like a cold blast of air the second you wake up. Adam Schiff, longtime Democrat heavyweight and former Intel committee star, just got hit with the kind of news every politician has nightmares about. Judge Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. District Attorney for Washington, D.C., says Schiff is officially under investigation, and the case is so high profile she's handling it herself. Yeah, personally, that alone should tell you how serious this just got. So here's what kicked the whole thing off. Last night, major information dropped that raised serious questions about Schiff's conduct while he was in a position of power. According to sources tied closely to the situation, his actions during key moments in Washington had crossed lines that prosecutors are no longer willing to ignore. And I'm sitting here thinking this is the same guy who spent years jumping from interview to interview, acting like he had every answer and everyone else was in the dark. Now, Judge Jeanine is not the type to play around. She's been mocked by critics who insist nothing is wrong, everything is fine, no big deal, but her response was brutal. She basically snapped back that families don't want to hear excuses when they're the ones suffering the consequences of a broken system. She said when she has the evidence, she'll move, and when she moves, everyone will hear her loud and clear. And then she took it a step further. She confirmed that things look serious enough with Adam Schiff that she herself is getting involved. That is not normal. Prosecutors at her level usually let teams handle the grunt work. But she made it clear she's building an airtight case quietly behind the scenes. No teasing, no predictions, no media drama, just gathering receipts. And honestly, the receipts look rough. Ed Martin, the man Schiff blocked from becoming U.S. District Attorney, is already going after him for alleged financial misconduct going back more than a decade. And on top of that, a whistleblower who worked closely with Schiff for years has stepped forward describing internal behavior that raised major red flags. This wasn't a rumor or a distant story. This was someone directly connected to the environment Schiff controlled. When you look back at Schiff's old interviews with this context, it hits different. He was everywhere, confidently laying out narratives that never seemed to line up with what investigators later found. Yet he kept pushing them like they were unquestionable. Now the White House is weighing in, saying the president wants accountability. They pointed out that the whistleblower wasn't some political enemy. This person is a career intelligence professional who had direct access, direct conversations, and a direct view of what was going on behind the scenes. And the FBI director's recent comments about public officials abusing their positions for political gain are now being replayed everywhere. So here's where things stand. Judge Jeanine Pirro is leading the investigation. The whistleblower is cooperating. The FBI has documentation, and the White House is calling this a massive abuse of power that needs consequences. Schiff used to be the polished face of the House's biggest fights. Now he's the center of the investigation surrounding those fights. And honestly, the more this unfolds, the more it feels like we're watching one of those moments where Washington finally cracks open. Because for years, Schiff carried himself like someone who had total control of the narrative, total protection, total confidence that nothing he said or did would ever come back to haunt him. But now with Judge Jeanine personally stepping in, that entire shield is starting to crumble. And people are noticing, even folks who aren't political junkies are saying, oh, hold on. If she's getting involved herself, this must be worse than we thought. And they're right. Judge Jeanine doesn't jump into the middle of a storm unless she already knows the ground is shaking. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Schiff will actually face charges, or is this going to drag out like every other political scandal? I'm curious where you land on this.